I'm Jared Leeper, Clinical Director of Groveway Veterinary Hospital here in Castro Valley. We're working in partnership with Castro Valley TV to help answer your questions, which I look forward to doing for you. All right, first question we have here is from Alex. Alex is wondering about her beautiful yellow lab, and she wants to know how to prevent him from peeing on her soon-to-be son's playhouse. So the first thing is, anytime we have an animal marking, we want to ensure that they are neutered. If they're not neutered, they can have unwanted marking behaviors. So if the pet's neutered, the next step that we look at is there any physical or clinical deficiencies? Are they suffering from a urinary tract infection? Is there a prostate issue? Something medically going on? Once we clear that, the next thing we looked at is any training that we need to do to help have him pee in any desired areas that we want him to. All right, our next question here is from Meg. She states that her dog is getting older and losing muscle and is having a hard time figuring out if more exercise is better for her or less, meaning daily walks. She doesn't want her to be in pain but wants her to keep her healthy. This is a very, very good question. I get this quite often from clients in regards to older animals, and it's just finding a balance that's right, and there's never a right or wrong answer. First of all, if there is significant pain, we want to try and relieve that through any anti-inflammatories or pain relievers. Secondly, what we do is I encourage people to slowly build up exercise, so start from a little and see how comfortable the pet is following that exercise, and build up to a point where there is good tolerance to it, ensuring that they're not in significant amount of pain. If they do show amount of pain, we cut back and we find that level where they are comfortable. Just like with humans, it's much easier for us to say, hey, this hurts, I'm going to stop now. So we just have to clue in signs that appear if they're in pain and decide where that perfect balance is for that individual pet. Next question we have is from Paula. She has a Kelpie who is scratching, chewing most of its hair off on her back legs. She doesn't have any fleas, eats an organic dog food which has already been changed to another organic brand, but still scratches and chews at her legs. Paula wants to know, are these seasonal allergies and what can we do to help her? This is a great question. I get a lot of questions from clients, particularly this time of year, about allergies. And allergies stem from one of three things typically: fleas, food, or environment. And environment are these seasonal allergies that most people ask about. The first thing we do is to ensure that there aren't any fleas, which you say there aren't, so we make sure we're on a monthly flea preventative year-round. If everything is good there, the next thing that we look at is food elimination trials. Now, Paula here mentioned that she did change foods. The most important factor in that is to make sure that we change foods to a different protein source. Changing brands isn't necessarily always the answer. We just have to make sure that it is a different food with a different protein source. And what I mean by that is, say the one food is chicken, we want to ensure the other is something like duck or venison or fish, something very, very different, because it's the meat protein source that typically causes the allergies. These food elimination trials can go anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, and if we find that they're doing well in that, then good and well. If they're not, then we start focusing in on seasonal allergies. And seasonal allergies, if they're real minor, sometimes we can do some minor treatment to help relieve them. Secondarily, if they're not, we can look into allergy testing, where we send a blood panel off, evaluate what they're allergic to, and then treat appropriately. Minor allergies, like I mentioned before, we can treat with some various treatments. The first is we can try antihistamines, which are on the minor end of the spectrum. If they don't respond to that, the next thing we look at are an antihistamine combined with a anti-inflammatory. And then lastly, we look at anti-inflammatories if we need to for treatment. The next question we have here comes from Castro Valley News. They're wondering, what human-safe foods can they give to their dog? This is an excellent question. All of us love to give treats and special things to our pets, myself included, but honestly it is best to avoid them. But if we must do something, there are some things that are safer than others. The important foods that we can give: vegetables are typically good, things like green beans, carrots, broccoli. These things are things that are low in calorie, high in fiber, and that they can digest quite easily. The important thing is we really avoid things that can be toxic to animals. Most people know about chocolate, but other important things to avoid are onions, raisins, grapes, and even nuts such as macadamia nuts. Aside from that, other things can be used, but we want to avoid really fatty foods. Milk is actually bad for dogs and cats. They're mostly lactose intolerant. And we also want to avoid fatty foods and spicy foods, as they can contribute to severe conditions in your pets. We have another question. This one's from Susan. She has a 5-pound lop-eared rabbit that has recently gotten poo stuck on its fur around his bottom. They have increased the Timothy hay in the diet, but want to know what else they can do to stop this. That's a great question. Rabbits typically have two kinds of poo. One, the poo that we normally think about from dogs and cats, and the other is something called cecotrophes. And these are something that rabbits typically eat. Now these are on the softer side since they're going to eat them, and sometimes rabbits can have problems eating them, and that's why we'll see this getting stuck on their fur. And this can come from one of three things: dental disease, arthritis, or obesity. So it's important to try and find out which one of these is causing the problem. The first is have to a vet to inspect the teeth and see if there's any dental problems. The next part is to evaluate if there's any arthritis, and lastly to see if they are overweight. If there is dental disease, we do that by trimming the teeth. If there's arthritis, we can treat that with some medications. And obesity, we help by actually increasing the diet to more things like hay and grass and avoiding the pelleted diets that are high in fat and calories.